I'm going to create a mandala tree. Yeah, I'll just do a 2048. So this is a square image. And the first thing I want to do is go to my canvas and turn on my drawing guide, because I need a grid to start this. So I'm going to edit my drawing guide and make my grid size so that I only have 4 squares. So that makes it super easy for me to locate the center. So in this Procreate app on the iPad, you can create layers. So I'm going to create a layer. I have a pen, which is, I'm going to use my gel streamlined pen to begin with, and I'm going to just use black. And a cool feature of Procreate is that you can just roughly make a circle, and if you hold it and tap, it will make a perfect circle. Then I'm going to select this layer and line it up so that it is perfectly centered in my square. So now I have a circle, because a mandala is based on a circle. All right. Now I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to duplicate it. So now I have a copy of this on a different layer and select it. And if I grab this corner and drag it down, it will keep the perfection of the circle intact. No such thing as perfection, but you know what I mean. Bring it down here. I'll have this circle and I'll line up the circle centered. So I know that this circle is centered right on that dot. Okay. And do this a couple times, because what I'm wanting to do is create concentric circles, because that's what mandalas are based on. And there's no rules about mandalas. You can look up mandala and see all kinds of different things. So I think I'm going to do one more. I have a rough idea of what I'm going to do with this mandala. But again, part of the contemplative practice of this is being surprised at where your art goes, where the images go that you're creating. Okay, so now you see I've got these concentric circles, and these are just guides for me. So what I want to do is pinch them all together, and now they're on just one layer. So I can turn that layer on and off. Here's a pro tip for Procreate. If you take this layer and turn it into a reference layer, then all your other layers will refer to this layer. It's really cool. So I want to make a new layer, and what I want to do is I want to create concentric rings of blue tones, going from a really saturated blue on the outside to almost pure white in the middle. And since this is my reference layer, I have a new layer, but if I just drag and drop this, you'll see that it fills just that layer. But that layer is on its own. It's not actually part of the dark layer. So if I make a new layer and I choose a little bit lighter blue, I can make that layer. And actually, I think I want it to be a little bit more saturated than that. Okay, that's good. If I make a new layer here and then bring my blue up like that, yeah, I think that's what I want. So fascinating. Rich Nelson. I've led others in sketching trees as a tree meditation spiritual practice. I'm learning a lot I can use. Oh, that's great, Rich. I'm so glad you're sticking with me, man. Hopefully we can meet each other. Okay. Yep. All right. So now I've got one more, and this one's going to be almost white, but I do want to fill it so that I have something to work with. So already this is pretty cool, right? So this is just a monochromatic scale. And because this is really cool too, because I may decide to not even use those black lines. And so you can see that the black lines created a white space in between. All right, so we've got that, and we can work with this. We can use this. I'm going to take these and I'm going to group them and call the group, I'm just erasing that. I'm going to call this circles, and that's going to be my baseline. And this is a group, right? So I can like hide all the circles together and then bring them back up, or I could do them individually. So they're all separate, which gives me a lot of flexibility. So now the next thing I want to do is kind of forget about my symmetry, and I want to just start drawing a tree. So I'm going to go with, I think I'm just going to do black. And this right here, this Max Hughes sketch marker, is my favorite drawing tool. So I'm going to imagine that this center line right here is the ground. So you've got what happens above the ground and what happens below the ground. And bring my now I can already tell that I actually just for the sake of composition, I want my ground line to be right here. So I'm going to bring my trunk down here, and I just want to create like a rough shape. So I'm just going to be bringing things out like that, and then I want my canopy of my tree to be like that. Okay, and so now I can just start imagining these branches coming out. And one of the things I love about trees is that they are not symmetrical. And so I'll imagine this tree. I'm feeling oakish on this one. So I've been observing the oak trees on Luther Seminary's lawn, and man, those branches are just so gnarly. The way they twist and turn almost at angles. So that's what I'm going for here. So yeah. And as you can see, I'm not mapping this out. I'm trying to just go with an organic, like how a tree might randomly branch itself out over time. Which I think is just kind of exciting. Draw like that. And of course you gotta imagine that some of these branches, they're coming right at you, right? So let's just think there's this really big one that's just coming right at us, doing this way and then turning a corner going up that way. And then it's got another branch going like that. And it gets messy, right? But this tree is also going to have big masses of, let's do big masses of foliage. So the tree right outside of Bachman Hall has this, it's almost like a goiter. It's got this huge tumor sticking out the side of it. And I don't know exactly what caused it. I think some tumors on trees are caused by a trauma, like they were cut or hit or something. Some of them might be caused by a virus or an invasive species. I don't know, but they definitely create character. So here we got this tree going like that. Now this is just a sketch layer. So we got the tree on the surface coming out towards you, but then you've also got like everything that's happening down below the ground. And I want that to be just as important, because remember, if a tree is going to have a wide canopy, it has to have those deep roots, right? Okay, so that's my sketch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a layer underneath this sketch. And I've got some really cool brushes that one of the powerful things about Procreate is that you can kind of cheat. But they've got all of these foliage brushes. So I'm going to choose a deep red, and I'm gonna put in a shadowy foliage space in the background like that. Now, if you're wondering why I'm using red when you think, like, is this a fall picture, or is this, I'm going to eventually make green summery foliage, but I'm using red because the complement, like if you look up here, the complement of red on the color wheel is green. And so by using the complement of your main color as a shadow and background, you can create some really cool effects. And then this brush automatically has built into it a variation of color and opacity. And I'm still going to put maybe some brighter red in there. So again, I'm just playing. You can see this is behind this drawing, so I haven't damaged anything. I'm just following that canopy. It's kind of cool. And then maybe I'll use my gouache brush, my favorite thin gouache marker, to put that same tone as the ground underneath, like this. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Again, I haven't forgotten about my mandala. I haven't forgotten about the circle and the symmetry, but we're going to come to that in a minute. All right, so I am on a time constraint here, so I'm going to put a new layer above that background shading layer, and this one is going to be my trunk layer. So I'm going to rename that one trunk. And I'm going to use a nice dark brown first, but I'm going to use a medium brush and just come in here and put in a solid color for my trunk. I'm actually going to turn this layer off so I can see better. So I'm just basically going to draw these branches with a solid color. And that will become important in a minute, because I need to have a solid color to shade around it. let's get this guy out here. I'm going to switch to a different brush in just a second. So what I'm doing right now is just getting the big thick trunk part in. I'm going to switch to a brush that it's called the Crumbrushian, and it has this nice edge to it, and it's got a really nice thick and thin, and that's what I really want on this. So I want to get the thick and thin of these branches. Notice how I don't care too much about sticking with my sketch. Actually, I'm going to make my sketch a lot less opaque so that I can see my lines better. Yeah, oh man, I love the way this brush creates these really organic, kind of angly lines. It's a great inking brush. I'm kind of moving my hand like I watch the squirrels in my backyard, you know, and they just kind of, they don't move fluidly, they move kind of jittery. That's how I'm imagining my hand right now. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Isn't that fun? Let these roots grow wherever they want to grow. Just kind of having a sense of composition and filling in the gaps a little bit. So same thing up here. I just want to create some rough I'm not trying to be super careful. Just imagining. I am following some kind of a logic though, because the trunks, the branches are bigger toward the trunk, and as they grow out, they get smaller. Because here's a cool thing about trees. Trees actually grow from the inside out. So the outside of a tree in its bark is the old crusty layer and the new layer grows up in the inside and pushes everything out, and that's what forms the rings of the tree. Make these a little bit thicker because they're coming more towards us. Yeah, it's kind of cool. And of course out here you get all kinds of little ones. Alright, so now if we turn on our back foliage again, you know, everything's just kind of getting muddy. But now I'm going to start doing some foliage with my recent brush. I'll just stick with that. And this is going to cover up a lot of those branches. Oh man, I gotta get going here. We're running out of time, people. But you know what? It's my live stream. I can go as long as I want. See, what I did was I lightened up my color. So I'm just putting in some random highlights like that. All right, now I do want to show you before I get too far into this, I do want to show you some cool things about creating mandalas. There is a feature. So let me just go right here. I'm going to create a layer above this circle. I'm going to create a clipping mask. So that's going to clip to this layer. Then I'm going to come up here to Canvas and Edit Drawing Guide. I'm going to go to Symmetry, Options, Radial Symmetry, and this is where the magic happens. This is so cool. So I'm going to create an orange. And I think I'm going to stick with my Perumbra. Now check this out. I'm just going to create some random patterns like this, and it copies it in symmetry all the way around. So like if I take this back off, you can see it going all the way around the circle. So I'm just going to do a few of those just to show you because it's really cool. So you go clipping mask, and I think I'll do a deep green for this one, like a really dark green. I'll stick with that Crumbrushian. And for this one, I'm going to just do a pattern. Oops, I gotta turn Drawing Assist on. If I turn on my Drawing Assist, then it will have that symmetry thing going. And here's where you get like the Zentangle idea. You can just create patterns, but it duplicates those patterns all the way around, and it's just so cool. And this is how you can create that mandala thing. Isn't that neat? So let me just do, I'll just keeping it simple. So I'll make this a clipping mask and also put on Drawing Assist. And I think this, since this, I think we'll go into like one of those dark reds to kind of match the, yeah. When I was in Cancun a couple times, I went and toured some of the Mayan ruins and also the Museum of Mayan Art. And it was really neat to just see the patterns that they would create, because the Mayans were really into mandalas. So on this last one, I think I'm going to create a, I'm actually going to use white, almost white. And I think it's going to be like a kind of like a cloudish. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll put a circle. Like that. Yeah, that's fun. So there you go. You get a really simple picture of the mandala. Now let's turn this this back light on, and here's the effect that I was really hoping to get. I'm going to create a layer here, and I'm going to choose yellow, like a really intense yellow, and a really big airbrush. Really big soft airbrush. That's really big. And I want to do this with it. But I want it to be on no, actually, I don't. This one's going to be normal, but just at like a light opacity. And I want to really get that light coming through the leaves in the background. So one of the things I'm going to do is actually come up here. I'm going to choose an eraser that has that foliage. I'm going to pop out some of that, so because I want that yellow to pop through like that, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this. It's like if I want that yellow to really pop through there. Come down here and erase that a bit. Yeah. Because what I want to get from this is like the glow coming from behind the tree, because I think that would be really dramatic and cool. Because sometimes all I'm going for is dramatic and cool. And so if I come above, right above this, and then if I create this as overlay with that airbrush, I can start making like a rim light. On the bottom of the, so since the light's coming from behind the tree, there are going to be spots where it's going to shine through. Like that. And that's really cool. And then just pop it randomly in little spots where maybe the color is, where there's gaps in the canopy. You can see that glowing out. Kind of dap up through there. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. And again, I'm doing this really fast, so. And then I think I'm just going to do one more thing and then I'm going to call it a day. But if I use this feature called Add, I can actually create a really neat glow effect. Like this is where I want the bulk of that to happen. And it will actually, and you'll see in just a second, I'm going to blur this out, and it's going to be really cool looking.